Hi YouTube peeps, I'd just quickly show you how my 2014 album is shaping up. So here is the album I'm using. It is a Project Life one this year, not a American Crafts one as normal. Slightly annoying thing is they are slightly higher in height, so they don't all fit on the shelf the same. But I just wanted to show you how things were looking in it. I am using the Project Life dividers as well, because I'm dividing this up by month. I will be doing a title page like you saw in my my 2012 album when using my Project 365 app from my phone. So I just thought I'd show you how I've organised it so far. So I mean, you've seen these layouts anyway, and as you'll see, I've also done some journaling on here. So these are the albums I've done, just divided by the month. And then what I've done is I've just taken some photo sleeves, and as I've had my photos printed, I'm putting them in here. These may turn into 12 by 12 layouts, or I may do just some divider pages as well. I also have some memorabilia to put in, like this card from Robin. So these will all eventually end up in the album. So that's how it's looking at the moment. Again, there's dividers in here. So I'm just putting my albums in. Again, not all these have been journaled on yet. But then again, this is a whole page of me because I'm so vain. So yeah, you'll just see here that I've got these ready to go. Some of these there's kind of several. I picked the one where there isn't, but there's photos behind there, so if I'm going to maybe do one or two photos on a layout. So I just thought I'd show you just how I'm setting up my album to go. I took this to the crop with me at the weekend because it's just so easy to just grab and take with me. So yeah, this is my layouts as I'm going. Here is lots of photos. There's this one I know that I want to do on kind of 2 pages, and I'm doing more and more of using this pick frame app to sort of cluster small photos together. And yeah, so then there's a layout. So I just wanted to quickly, and again it is really quickly, I just wanted to show you how I'm setting up my album for this year. It's also helping me be organised because I know that the photos from that month are in the album. As I've said to you previously also, I'm using the free print app, which is available here in the UK, and that just means I can upload and get 45 prints a month for free and just have to pay postage. So that's really good because it's meaning I'm actually keeping on top of the photos that I want to print. So yeah, that's it. I just really wanted to do this a little, quick introduction to how my album is going. And then I'll go into a process video. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye! Hi everyone, so I'm now back with the process video part of this layout. So here I am with my supplies. It is a mixture of bits and pieces that I've used on previous layouts and just had on my desk and in boxes. I'm doing a 4x6 photo here, so I've just mounted that on some cardstock. And then I'm using this background piece of paper from the flea market collection. And it's already got some distressing on there with some ink blots and pieces, and it's a little bit plain, so of course I had to make it a little bit messy. So here I am with the polka dot brayer, and I'm using the walnut stain ink. And as I said, just creating a background texture because this paper was actually quite plain. And then taking the chevron and using the worn lipstick. And again, this photo was taken in a dark room, so I wanted to kind of bring out those colours. I'm taking this orange stamp and using one of the stamps from the grunge set from Stamping Up, and I really love how that looks and the sort of texture it brings to the page. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing here. Oh yes, I've just taking some water and on a brush to just kind of dilute some of those distressing pieces, because the background had that kind of watercolour effect, so I wanted to go with that. So I'm just taking out this set of watercolours which I got from Two Peas in a Bucket, and I'm just using the grey here. I'm sorry the lighting does keep changing a bit on this video. I did do this during the daytime, so it's got kind of sun coming through, and that does affect the lighting on my camera, so I apologise for that. So just adding some grey to that background, and I really love that effect. I really need to use my paints more. So I've just taken that piece of Maggie Holmes word paper, and you've seen me use that cut apart on quite a few layouts, and then that's just a piece of bow paper. I believe that's from Dear Lizzie. This is some tulle that I brought from the crop at the weekend, and it's a gold one, and it's very fine tulle, so I thought I would use that as an added layer here. And I really enjoyed using that sort of gold. That was more of a voile that I used, but I really liked how that just added that other texture, so that's something I want to, you know, bring more to my layout, but I'm still not sure if I'm ready to go down the modelling paste route. So I'm just drying that up with my heat gun. I really love how it how the colours all blend together there. I'm really happy with how that looks. I decided that I wanted to mount it because the paper had warped a little when I was dyeing it, and because it's a ledger paper, I wanted to make sure that the ledger sort of still stayed central, so I've just cutting a little strip off each of those sides. And so I'm just putting quite a lot of my ATG adhesive on there to try and get that on there, but I stick it down wrong and then I have to move it and peel it up, but eventually I get it on there. It's not 100% perfect, but to be honest, you know, who cares. So here I am just with my layers, and I know that I wanted to go pretty simple with the layers around the photo. I'm taking out this Maggie Holmes recorded cut apart sheet. I had kept it because I wanted to use the map design on the background, but I just wasn't using it, so absolutely no point in keeping it, and I decided I wanted to use one of the cards, so went for that. This is a Polaroid frame that I cut from the Stamping Up die from when I went to a crop recently, and these are Studio Calico Polaroid frames. I completely cut that piece of paper wrong there, which is really annoying. And I'm still trying to use my die cut box. As you'll know, that was a challenge set to me. You saw in my last video, so I'm still trying to work through those die cuts as well. As you'll know, in a couple of recent hauls that I have bought some die cut packages, so I really need to use up the ones that are in my box before I use those. Those Craft Studio Calico frames did have words in them, but I didn't want the words on there, so I am just cutting those off, and that works absolutely fine. So I'm just using the 3x4 cards and the 4x6 cards on that piece of paper. And you see that one didn't quite fit, but I am going to tuck it behind anyway, so it's not going to show. And as you'll know, since doing that Dear Lizzie thing and using those Polaroids, I'm really loving Polaroids and frames, so that is something that you'll see me probably use on quite a few layouts coming up. I kind of tend to do that, kind of get really kind of engrossed in kind of one sort of theme and one thing. Hopefully you won't get too bored of watching me do that. So I've just cut a stamped heart out to put in the middle of one of those frames to kind of make it look like a pre-existing embellishment. Just making another one of those frames there, using that piece of yellow paper that I cut wrong. And not quite sure what I'm doing at this point. I think I was looking for another frame. One of the other frames that came in that set, I'd used all of the craft ones, and that's a transparency one. You can see close up on the layout that it is actually a frame, it's not just a square of paper. I wasn't sure if I was going to use it, but it does end up on there. You'll see that I've brought that arrow up to the top there, and again that's from the same coral cardstock as the bottom. I've had these canvas tags, sort of banner strips, in my stash for quite a while, and I wanted to get them used up, so I'm looking at adding one of those to each side of the layout to add some more texture. That heart did go with the die, stamp and die set, but I didn't actually stamp it, so I just cut that out. So I'm just looking for an arrow that's going to fit in there, and this is a lot skinnier arrow, but it just adds some detail. So I'm really happy with how that looks. And I'm just going to have that pointing into the photo. And then also on that strip was this Days of the Week stamp. And I decided to use my grey Hero Arts ink to stamp in the background. And I absolutely love how this looked. I'm really happy with the effect there. And I'm just using a bit of paper just to off stamp there. So didn't want it to take up all of that photo. And my title is going to refer to Days of the Week. So this is the title of this page will be Sunday Rest 24 style. As you'll all recently know, I was trying to work my way through 24 before the new series starts in May. I am very close to doing that. I'm on just started series 8, which is the last one, so I'm not actually going to have too much longer to wait before the new one starts. So then I will go through a period of mourning because I'll need to find another TV show to obsess about. But anyway, back to the layout. So that's what this layout is. This is going to be about the day that I decided to stay in bed and just watch TV all day. I'm not a big TV watcher at all, and I do very much tend to binge watch, and I mean, you'll often say that I'm watching Netflix while I'm scrapping. I don't very often just sit and watch TV, so this was a real, not treat, but it was a real change for me to actually spend a day just in bed watching TV. So that's what this kind of photo is just documenting. So I'm now just layering up my different bits and pieces here, and I really love how that looks. I'm really happy with how those clusters came and worked with all that background texture and stamping. Just looking at if I can bring any other sort of layers in here. And again, the first thing I'm going to is that die cut box. I pull out that piece of kind of aqua ledger print because I've got the aqua in that Today print, so I wanted to bring that in. I decide that I am going to go with that Polaroid that you saw me make earlier but then put aside. You will see the dreaded Life acetate from the print shop has come back to haunt me yet again. Trying to get it on the layout, and no, it's not going to work, so chuck it back in the die cut pot. I'm thinking I'm end up going to do a layout and it will just be that stuck in the middle of a piece of paper because I simply don't know what to do with it. So you'll see here that I'm just adding some label stickers that again were from my stash, from my die cut box, so I'm not really sure where they're from. I cut out this little clipboard from the Dear Lizzie cut apart paper. I've still got a few bits of that in my stash, just seeing if I can get that to work, but where I wanted to tuck it, the writing wasn't in the right place, so I decided not to add that on. I'm trying to use up these stickers from the Recorded collection. And I really wanted to use that Today one because it picks out the colours which I've used in that Polaroid frame. So I am going to play about with where I can get that to work. I have that other piece that says my fave, so I was going to stick that down as well. And I'm just pulling out these stickers to group in the little clusters. They don't necessarily have anything to go with it. Can't get that one to work because it's too white. And again, I get this sticker on a layout. It's been hanging around trying to get on layouts for months. So really happy that I got that on a layout. Just moving that my fave around. So that doesn't work. Trying to decide if I want to put something on the bottom there. See if that house works. That is a piece that I cut off another Polaroid strip. And then I'm going to start pulling out the speech bubbles that I also had from another layout that I've done recently. So I'm just going through looking at other bits and pieces that I've got in my die cut box that work with this layout, that work with the colours and things like that. I do try to get these tags on. I'm trying to get them to work, but just can't get them to look 100% right. Then I pull out this little red chipboard piece, and that is from the Simple Stories Urban Traveller collection. So I'm going to add that on. And then this is a little speech bubble. And again, I'm not sure if that yellow one's going to work because the wording doesn't quite work. I'm going to cut that little piece off the LA Studio, which was from my one of my last... No, it wasn't my last layout, it was a layout 3 layouts ago. It's from the branding strip. And again, it makes that Polaroid frame looks like, you know, it was sort of pre-made like that. And I quite like those little embellishments. And I think that might be something I need to do with that box of embellishments, is actually go through and make some sort of pre-made embellishments. I'm going to a crop, hopefully going to go to a crop this weekend. And I might make it one of my missions there, because the lady who runs it is a Stampin' Up demonstrator, and she always has all her dies there. So I might make it my mission to kind of die cut and make some, so maybe some more Polaroid frames, or something that I can make some sort of pre-made dies, maybe with some circles or something. So I've just used some gold washi tape on there and added that to the different layers. This is a little red ormolu tag that, excuse me, that I wanted to use. And then there's another little arrow there from the Simple Stories Urban Traveller collection. And I'm just going through my flare box because I want to add a flare on top of that circle, because of course the white circle is not really going to work with this layout. So I'm just looking at my options I've got in here. I like you know, rummaging through because often you pick stuff out that you weren't necessarily going to use. I do pull out one of those jelly bean soup, I can't think what they're called, like sprinkles, wood sprinkles. And then I also pull some silver, no, gold buttons out as well. I do end up going with the flare that says lately, because I feel lately I've been watching 24 as if in the last, you know, 3-4 weeks of my life that's been consumed by it. So that's what I decided to go with, and the colours end up working really well. And I just add a gold button to the different points there on the layout. I did contemplate using those Prima stickers, but decide not to. So I'm just putting my flare up on a piece of 3D foam. And then I'm just using my glue there to stick down, my wet glue to stick down those. And I'm going to put that arrow there as well to make a little cluster at the bottom of the photo. And again, it's just bringing in the arrow that's on the other side as well. I managed to get glue everywhere, so you'll see me just using my the scoopy bit on the end of my poking tool to scoop that back in the bottle. So yes, I'm just taking the bit off there, the adhesive off there. I'm just trying to get that to stick there on that, all that glue. And now I'm just going to add my title, and I'm going to use these basic grey, they're kind of like a distressed grey sticker. They're not a 3-dimensional font at all. And I was really happy because it actually had all the letters I needed for this title. So that made me quite excited. I'm just taking one of the asterisks off those sheets and adding it to the 3 clusters. So I'm just going to overlap my title slightly on the photo there. And again, that just draws that cluster and everything in together. And I really love, you know, how that looks. It fits in really well between those 2 clusters. And I am going to decide that I just want to add the second bit of the title, and I'm going to use these Studio Calico stickers. and that's just going to say Sunday Rest 24 style. So yes, that's my layout. Thank you very much for watching. There will be some close-up pictures at the end. So thank you very much, and I will see you again soon. Bye!